Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Kieran. Welcome back as we dive into the first consequence of hormonal poverty, and that is midlife metabolic mayhem. And if you're in this now or you've been in this, you know what I'm talking about. Oftentimes, it will affect primarily women, usually in their 40s, will start to experience some of the symptoms of midlife metabolic mayhem, definitely in their 50s. But a lot of times it starts in the 30s and 20s. And I've even seen teenagers with this. Yep. So midlife metabolic mayhem is when your metabolism is disrupted. So, what gives you your metabolism? Have you ever thought about that? I think it's a great question. So, I want to start by telling you how many of you know the show The Biggest Loser? Some of you have probably heard of it, right? They take some morbidly obese people and then they put them through very rigorous, intense diet and exercise. Really, it's a starvation type of diet and extreme exercise workouts. And they do this with weekly episodes on TV and they say who loses the most weight in a period of time, right? So they did some studies on those people to see what was happening when they lost this weight, while they were losing it, after they lost it. And then surprisingly, 2 years after the show, what they found is that a lot of the participants actually regained a lot of their weight. And this is true actually for gastric bypass patients as well. The failure rate where they regain the fat that they lost is actually pretty high. And so why is this was the question. I love a why question. I hope you do too. And what they found is that your body has a metabolic rate, the rate at which it takes calories and turns them into fuel. And the fuel of your body is ATP. Remember back from high school science, adenosine triphosphate is the currency of energy. So think about it like you go to work to earn dollar bills. That's the currency of the energy of your financial economy in your house is dollar bills. Well, the currency of your energy economy in your body is ATP. And you get dollars by going and using your life force energy to work for somebody to transform your energy into monetary currency. And your body takes food that you take from the outside, which has energy potential, and digests it to extract the nutrients to then funnel it through its process to make ATP, which is the energy currency of your micro environment. And so what they looked at, that's what your metabolism is, your body's ability to extract energy from that food and make ATP. That's what your metabolism does. So when you say you have a slow metabolism, what you're saying is, I'm not extracting the energy from the food I'm eating or from the fat I'm carrying around on my body, which is a storage tank for energy, and making ATP. My ability to do that is disrupted. So we talked in one of the episodes about what hormones are. They are your communicators and they are the regulators of your metabolism. They're the communicators telling your body how and when and at what rate to transform the energy of the food you eat into the ATP. So when you're in hormonal poverty, they're not getting the signals. And that transformation isn't happening. And what's happening with the food you're eating is it's getting packed away as fat for storage and you gain weight. 60% of us at 50 are overweight or obese. And by the time we're 60, it's 3 out of 4 of us. So you're not alone if this is you. It's not a problem unique to you. It is not your fault. It's just that you didn't have this information. So I'm going to make sure you have it to get where you want to be. So when your metabolism is slow, and what they found in those studies is that the metabolic rate of those people in The Biggest Loser and with gastric bypass went down so low while they were losing the weight, but they just starved themselves into the weight loss. Same with gastric bypass. It's forced starvation. But that the metabolic rate went down so low that when they didn't keep up those heroic measures, they eventually started regaining the weight because there's no way that they could eat little enough to sustain that extremely low metabolic rate. And the body still wasn't getting the communication because they didn't fix the underlying reason why those people were overweight in the first place. And for some of us, is it because we're gluttonous? It can be a part of it. But for a lot of us, we don't even realize that the hormone poverty causes us to crave unhealthy foods and unhealthy calories that make us eat them because your body wants to come into hormonal prosperity, but you're not listening to the signals. And so you're listening to the false signals, and then you might eat those things, but that's still not your fault. It's not your fault because your body is programmed to try to come to hormonal prosperity. And if it's not getting the support it needs from the right way, it's going to take the wrong route. So I just want you to get out of this self-blame cycle that so many women are in, because I was in that too. I was basically told it's your fault. You eat too much, you don't move your body enough, and it's your fault. And that's just not true. So back to midlife metabolic mayhem, and this hormonally impoverished state that's causing you to have low midlife metabolic mayhem, right? The chaos. It then can cause you to have, there are at least 60 or more symptoms that you can experience. That when I'm going to go through a lot of these because your mind is going to be a little bit blown, like that doesn't have anything to do with hormones. And you're probably going to be fighting in your mind with me. That doesn't have anything to do with hormones. I have rosacea. That doesn't have anything to do with hormones. I have irritable bowel. That doesn't have anything to do with hormones. And you're going to Google it. And Dr. Google is going to not tell you that it has anything to do with your hormones. So then you're going to go, Dr. Kyrin doesn't know what she's talking about. And what I'm going to say is, if you look at, the top million hits you're going to get, if you Google, does rosacea have anything to do with hormones, are going to say no. Like, it's not readily available information. But I'm the kind of doctor who isn't going to tell you this is the truth because I say it's the truth. I'm going to explain to you why, and then you make an educated decision for yourself, which is what doctor means, is teacher. We never were meant to be the gods who say, I've heard it said that some doctors think that MD stands for minor deity, and it's not. We are not the authority on your health. You are. But it requires you to have a working knowledge and understanding of your health in order to be the CEO of your health. So what happens? Your body's metabolism is down, and then you get that midlife mayhem, chaos. Every morning you wake up, you're like, what's a symptom going to be today? And it just is from one thing to another you're going to the doctor for, and they give you a fistful of prescriptions, and you never really feel like yourself. So I'm just going to talk about different ones. Most common ones that you're probably familiar with are weight gain or difficulty losing weight, fatigue, insomnia, low sex drive, hair loss, mood and memory problems, irritability, anxiety, depression. Most people aren't aware that mental health problems are very intimately involved with hormonal poverty. And it's interesting because back when I had severe anxiety and depression, when I was in midlife metabolic mayhem in my 40s, and I had gone to a psychiatrist, they just kept adding different medications, right? Oh, take this one for depression, this one for anxiety, until I was on 5 psychoactive medications. That's a lot. And I still didn't feel like myself. But then when I found this way that I'm teaching you about, and I fixed my hormonal poverty, I didn't need any of these anymore. I actually went back to that doctor and tried to educate him on what I had learned. Wow, neurotransmitters are cousins to hormones. Wow, when you're in hormonal poverty, guess what? You're in some degree of neurotransmitter poverty. Wow, your hormones communicate with your brain to keep your neurons in your brain healthy. And when it doesn't have that support, you start going down paths that start fostering dementia, depression, anxiety, all of these things. And there are tests you can do to get at these causes, and then you can fix the reasons why. And then, wow, your anxiety and your depression go away, not because you took a medication to suppress it, but because you fixed the reason why you had it. And I tried to educate him about this, and he wasn't hearing any of it. So one of the first things people want to do when they start working with me is, and they get better, they want to go to their doctors and they want to say, oh my gosh, I did these tests you never did with me. And I learned these things about myself you never told me. And wow, you could use this for your other patients. And they think their doctor's going to be excited about it. And I've never seen that happen. The doctors just gaslight you and just say, that's not true. You're wasting your time and your money. I've got so many stories about this. So I don't want that to be you, but I do want you to get the help you need. Just don't think that you're going to convert your doctor, because their religion is drugs and surgery. So those are some of the most common symptoms of midlife metabolic mayhem. Most women don't realize that their excess weight is a direct result of hormonal poverty. And they're like, no, my body is like a bank account. It's calories in minus calories out. I just need to eat less and exercise more. And it's not that way. And it's funny, I have a woman in my program now who hadn't been able to lose even a pound for 5-10 years. And then when she identified the causes of her hormonal poverty and fixed them, she came on the class and she's like, oh my God, I've lost 23 pounds. and I'm not hungry. And I am not at the gym every day. That's the key. And that's how it should happen when you address the hormonal poverty and you get to hormonal prosperity. The weight starts coming off. You start falling asleep naturally, staying asleep, waking up rested, hair growing, mood equalizes, memory, all the things. So let's talk about some of the other symptoms. Maybe for some of you who are earlier on in your journey, you've got crazy periods, crazy crime scene periods, I like to call them. Maybe they're really heavy. Maybe you're passing clots. Maybe they're very irregular. Maybe you even have fibroids, endometriosis, or you've been diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. No one's telling you, well, you're in hormonal poverty. And that's why, and doing the right tests, right? So the other thing about these symptoms is that the symptoms are your gifts. They are not the problem themselves. Like we talked in one episode about the water on the floor in your bathroom. If you missed that one, you definitely want to listen in what is hormonal poverty. But the symptoms are the gifts that are pointing the direction to the problems. So one thing, I love to travel. I travel a lot. And something you'll usually find in most cities, or you'll find them at restaurants, maybe there's one in your hometown, is these posts with the names of all the cities and the distance of that city from where you're standing. And they have like all these boards nailed to the main post, you know, and they're all pointing different directions. Alaska, Kenya, Singapore, right? And it says this many miles, thousands of miles or kilometers, depending where you live. I love those. And I love to get a picture as a tourist in these countries next to those. And are those signposts problems? No. You would say, what are you talking about? They're not problems. They're possibilities. They're possibilities of what is possible for you. I could go, 1,500 miles in this direction, and I could go to Singapore and discover everything in Singapore that's awesome for me to see and experience and people to connect with. They are possibilities pointing the direction to what's possible for you in life. And I want you to start thinking about your symptoms the same way. Stop hating your symptoms. They are gifts. So when you wake up in the middle of the night between 1 and 3, I know some of you are doing it, and you're staring at the alarm clock and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm up at 1 and I got to get up at 6 to go to work. What am I going to do? And I hate this insomnia. And I hate the fact that I'm waking up in the middle of the night. I want you to start to love your symptoms. And I want you to start to go, this is good. This is a clue. This is my body telling me something's wrong and I need to look for the underlying cause of it, and celebrate the fact that you're waking up at 1 in the morning, and then do an inventory of all the other symptoms you have. And I'm going to try to mention as many of the 60 as I can, and look at them as gifts, because they are just like that signpost in that town that you visit going, Alaska's, 5,000 miles that way. And the North Pole's that way, that many miles. These are all the signposts. Start to look at them as gifts, the blessings that are pointing to the problem. And then you figure out, you read the tea leaves and you figure out what the problems are. Where are you impoverished? And then you get to prosperity. And that's where everything you want happens. Okay. So we've talked about some of them. We got to mention hot flashes, night sweats. That definitely started for me in my 40s. Maybe you can relate. So I used to do a lot of surgery, hysterectomies, oophorectomies, laser laparoscopies, all the things. If you're a woman who's had surgery, you know the surgeries your gynecologist does. And they keep the operating room freezing cold. If any of you've been in there, it's like 60 degrees usually is what we keep it, because we have all these hot lights and then we have to put on these gowns and we've got masks and hats and gloves and it's hot. It's really hot. But it was never a problem for me until I got in my 40s. And then in my late 40s, I would go in and I just would be dripping sweat. Now, that's a little bit problematic for your GYN surgeon to be dripping sweat. Why? Because you're working in a sterile field. You don't want bacteria and sweat that comes off of you and drips in. And a lot of times we're leaning over people in an open wound, can drip in the wound. So the nurses would have to swab me. I'd have the air down even lower. Everybody else is freezing. Think about your workplace. Think about your bedroom. Maybe you've got a partner and you're like, every night, we need to turn the AC off. So this is a big problem for people. Or I would take a shower and I'd leave for work and looking good. And then in the car, I would have breakout in this sweat and my makeup would be sliding down my face and I would look like I ran a marathon in my shirt. So maybe you're experiencing that as well. So hot flashes, night sweats. We talked about the crazy periods, vaginal dryness, decreased libido. We have come to accept that no sex drive is just normal for women as they get a certain age, and that's just not true. You should be having amazing sex. In fact, I say an orgasm a day keeps the doctor away, keeps the gynecologist away. It is such a tool to empower your health. Your body needs that. And if you have no desire for that, you're missing out on one of the greatest tools that you have to make your health better is sex and orgasm. So don't accept this decreased libido situation. Mood swings, irritability, depression, anxiety, difficulty concentrating, memory lapses, fatigue, sleep disturbance, weight gain, headaches. Oh, headaches. Migraine headaches, cluster headaches, tension headaches, sinus headaches. You get a headache. What are you thinking? I need aspirin, Motrin, Aleve, Advil, goodies powders. I learned about that when I moved to the South. It's nothing we had up north. And migraine headaches, so intimately involved with hormonal poverty. So if you get that right, the headaches usually go away. Joint and muscle aches. A lot of you maybe have started to experience arthritis. You just accept it for it's normal for my age. You see commercials about it and you hear, oh, I've got arthritis and, all the different things you can do for that to treat the symptom. I want you to stop hating your symptoms. That is a sign pointing to the problem. Hormonal poverty is a part of the problem. We're going to have to go into each one of these in detail in a different episode because there's way too much to say about them. And I don't want to keep you too long here. I just want you to get the idea of what are we talking about. So let me mention some of the others. Breast tenderness, any breast problems. If you have fibrocystic breast cancer, hormonal poverty. Urinary incontinence, urinary urgency, urinary tract infections, hair loss and thinning, dry skin, tingling sensations in your body, dizziness, palpitations, bloating, digestive problems. We're definitely going to do an episode on that because people just don't get how their gut is related to hormonal poverty. So we're going to go into that, whether it's GERD. Oh my gosh, that's another huge one. GERD, ulcers, irritable bowel, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, changes in body odor or your urine odor. That's a huge sign of hormonal poverty. Allergies. They are not normal to have allergies. If you have allergies, that's a key sign of hormonal poverty. Gum problems, osteoporosis, osteopenia, bone thinning, breast pain, painful intercourse, bladder control issues, breast density changes, facial hair growth, male pattern hair loss, acne, brittle nails, eye problems, dry eyes, vision changes, macular degeneration. We're going to talk about that. Burning tongue, taste changes, dizziness or vertigo, electric shock sensations in your body, muscle tension. How many of you have that? A lot of you. Itchy skin, numbness, restless leg, tinnitus, ringing in your ears, heart palpitations, panic disorder, chest discomfort, feeling cold or chills, irregular heartbeat, bleeding gums. We've talked about headaches, dry mouth, loss of breast fullness, increase in allergies. We've talked about so many more things. Like the list is so long. What you need to understand is every health problem you have, every diagnosis you have, look at all the medications you're on. Now, some people will say, I'll ask them, oh, do you have hypertension? And they'll say no. And then I'll ask them the medications they're on, and they'll say an antihypertensive, like Zyac, for instance. And I'll say, but you said you didn't have hypertension. And they'll say, oh, I don't. My blood pressure's normal now. And I say, no, 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 no. You misunderstand. You still have hypertension because you're on a medication to bring your blood pressure down to control the symptom. Doesn't mean you don't have hypertension. You still have it. It's just medicated. You've masked that symptom, but you're still getting some consequences from that. Although they're mitigated with the medication, you're still going to have consequences. So you need to fix the reason why you have the hypertension in the first place. So the symptoms are many, but every health problem you have, even if it's a health problem that's controlled because you're on a medication for it, that's still a health problem, has as a part of its cause hormonal poverty. If you are a woman over 40 for sure, and probably if you're a woman of any age, hormones are always involved because we are not little men. We are specialized systems. And the foundation of how we function has to do with our hormones, particularly as women. So if you don't understand that yet, stick with me. I will help you understand that over time till you will get it. But mainstream medicine really treats us like we're just men with a little reproductive accessory pack, and that's not true. So midlife metabolic mayhem is the first consequence of hormonal poverty we're going to talk about. We are going to go into the second consequence of hormonal poverty in the next episode. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Until then, peace, love, and hormones, y'all.